2 years ago, we had a panel on digital identity, and we're basically saying this could be something that's really cool for travel. What we're talking about today is it's here, it's real, and it's going to change travel. Now, you may not believe this, but I bet by the end of this panel, you're going to be saying, we need to do this. So we have a little slide just to familiarize people with digital identity. There you go. Here we go. It's a fairly simple approach. I won't use a travel example. I'll use the example of my daughter. I have a daughter who wants to go to a bar. She needs a driver's license to go do that. So the issuer, she happens to live in Texas. It's the state of Texas Department of Public Safety or Department of Transportation. They give her a credential, which is real, which is great. She takes it and puts it in her purse. She's the holder. So you have the issuer and the holder. The verifier is the bar. Now, the problem with the bar is it's probably some dude who's the bouncer or a bartender or something like that, and she hands him the credential that happens to have her name, her date of birth, her address, and a whole bunch of information which is completely unnecessary to answer the key question of, are you over 21? Right? Completely unnecessary. So what we do here instead, it's an identical process, but we use technology to do it in a much better, much more secure way. So the issuer, and in our case here, might be the US government with a passport. People trust that. That's terrific. You can get a credential issued for the holder, who can have it on their device or whatever, which is fine. They're granted it, and you'll even see the interesting aspect of having a device. And then there's a verifier, which may be, in our example, the government of Aruba, who wants to make sure that customs and immigration goes as smoothly as possible. It's the same thing. Well, how do they do it? The issuer files it to a distributed ledger, yes, blockchain. It's usable, right? It's very good. This is a great application, very secure. And then the verifier can make sure that the private key that the holder has matches up with the public key, which is in the block. And if that syncs up, you're through. So what we're going to do is talk about Aruba Happy Pass, or Happy One Pass, and it's pretty amazing. So just to start off, I think maybe we go through how it works, and we'll just have each one kind of take an aspect. Michael, you want to say how it works for the traveler, what the traveler has to do?
Sure, and I think to start off, I like little
props. You brought props.
Little props. So everyone travels with their passport. It's what's expected. It's what's required. Everyone wants to travel with a phone because that's what's convenient for them. It's been around for several years, that different ways to have your passport on your phone, but the problem has been the standards and the trust on it. And the trust is something that a government can trust. So what we did when you start your trip is in your home, on your couch, you take your passport, read your chip, load it on your phone, it's authenticated, it's true, it's a government-grade copy of what's the chip on your passport. Now that you have that, you can start your trip. I want to go to Aruba. I'm going to take my passport that's on my phone, I'm going to send it to the government, it's got my photograph, all my information. The government gets it, they trust it, and they pre-clear me. They say, you know what, this traveler, they're not on a watch list. They're not someone that we don't want to have welcomed into our country. So we will grant them access. So it's all at the comfort of your sofa, so that when you land in Aruba, the government's ready, they're prepared. All they need is your photograph, which is your picture. So what does everyone want to travel with? Your passport, your phone, or do you want to just keep it aside and present it at the border with your face? And that's what we've done with Aruba, so that you can just use your face to say, I'm here, and you're welcomed into the country. The technology beneath it is trusted, it's secured, it's government grade. That part is not even part of the equation, because it's really around the convenience for that traveler to enjoy that journey.
So if you're thinking of traveling unplugged without your phone, all of a sudden you can start doing that. And that's a kind of a change for the entire travel industry, who's been trying to force everybody onto apps and getting copies of your information, things like that. Okay, well, why don't we go next to the minister? So that's great from the traveler's perspective. How about from the government's perspective?
Aruba is a very small island in the Dutch Caribbean. We depend heavily on tourism, especially the US visitor, and that's why we focus on innovation and what technology can provide us to ease the travel experience for our visitors. And that's why after the pandemic, during the pandemic, we launched an Aruba Health app to manage testing and vaccination program. And then we partner up with SITA and Indicio to launch the Aruba Happy One Pass project, which the goal was to create a seamless travel experience. We call it on the beach travel experience within 30 minutes. Once upon arriving in Aruba, go through the immigration, then use the digital travel identity to share that data, not only with the local immigration, but with the rental car and also with hotels. So within 30 minutes, you will be on the beach enjoying your vacation instead of waiting lines like it used to be before we began this endeavor.
Yeah, not much that reduces friction more in a travel experience than the person goes to Aruba, they want to be on the beach. How do you reduce that from the time you get off the airplane to 30 minutes is incredible. Okay, so Heather, and it's also interesting, the minister is also a minister of public health. So they're using not exactly the same technology, but the digital identity, the individually controlled digital identity for public health as well. So it starts all tying together. So Heather, how does this tie into the rest of the travel experience? You have everything else that you can do in that. Once you've cleared customs, you've got this, you've done it on your couch, you've cleared customs, now what happens?
This isn't just about clearing arrivals, which I happen to do in a matter of seconds. I never thought I would use the word beautiful to describe an immigration arrivals experience, but it was beautiful when I arrived in Aruba a few days ago. What this allows is because we have built this technology on an interoperable protocol that any entity in the travel ribbon can use the digital travel credential that Aruba approved to facilitate hotel check-in, rental car, tour operator, concert sport venues, and you can clear, check in, accept your customer before they even got on the plane. So a passenger is in a position to check in with their hotel and provide their authoritative passport identity directly to the hotel for check-in, so they don't have to wait in line and show the passport and then get it copied or however it's going to be stored. It's just done. And so what it does is it allows the resorts and the tour operators' rental cars to use the government-approved identity and biometrics to facilitate seamless check-in. It's not only seamless arrival, it's a seamless 30 minutes to the beach, and then it's a seamless week of vacation for a seamless exit. And that's the experience that Aruba is building and delivering. It's really important to note, Zureik, how is this technology doing all of this? Like, what's your integration? I just want to be clear, with the technology and the protocols we use, there is no direct integrations here. This is not a federated system. We're not taking the data of the traveler and throwing it to a third party that then throws it back to the government or the airline. This is decentralized, where the traveler provides that data directly.
Yeah, and that data's with the traveler, not owned by a...
And I also will say it is with consent at every step of the way. So it exceeds most privacy policies at this point. It exceeds expectations of privacy. It really is the future of privacy tech.
No, that's fantastic. I guess you go here, so this sounds great. Probably everybody's thinking this sounds, so what's the catch? How hard is this to deploy? This has to be incredibly difficult, or maybe not.
Yeah, so the first thing you need to do is get the passport onto your phone and make sure that it's trustworthy, it's authenticated. That's convenient, takes a few minutes. Scan the passport, you do a liveness check because you need to prove that the person that holds the passport is the person that's loading it into the phone. You do some checks, not wearing a mask and not a picture. It does then a check against a government system that is managed under the umbrella of the United Nations that says the chip has been encrypted and signed, it's authentic. And that's how you can then establish trust as you share it. So in the comfort of your home, a couple of minutes, you're done. And forever going out and sharing it, it's on the receiving party. So with Aruba, when we went and set up their system to receive it, it took not months or years that one would expect for integrating to a government system. It was measured in days and weeks, which for something like this to be able to get such valuable information with such high benefit, the value in doing it and the speed to do it because it's open standards, it's going to be easy to replicate in any environment. Hotel, sporting venues, tourism venues, car rentals, and it's open standards. So it's not going to be controlled by one party. It's meant to benefit the entire industry.
Which is great. So yeah, I think we were talking earlier, it was about 6 days. I think if we did an over-under here, people would be saying 6 years, 6 months, but that's absolutely incredible. So what kind of changes did Aruba have to make to adopt the technology?
We trusted the process. We trusted our partners. We needed to make changes in policies. We needed to convince our local departments to trust the process. And we also needed to convince the Council of Ministers to join in this project. But I think it went pretty fast because we noticed that this will be a game changer for the travel industry. And Aruba wants to position ourselves in a global leader in transforming what the future will be for the travel industry, using Aruba as a showcase, as a small, tiny island in the Dutch Caribbean to do such a big thing for the travel industry.
No, that's fantastic. We appreciate it. So with this technology, what about for other organizations who would like to be doing this?
Right.
Say, now that you have the passports scanned, in the system, is that just for, or they can use that for other purposes, or?
This is worldwide. This technology is called decentralized identity. And it is being used here in travel, and Aruba is not only leading the world in travel and using this, they are leading the world in the use of this technology in general. But we see banks, we see other governments, we see agriculture, IoT, healthcare, there are other industries using the same technology, same protocols. So for others who want to be a part of this ecosystem, there are 2 ways to be involved. One is you want to be able to verify the credential that Aruba Happy One Pass, for instance, you're a resort on Aruba, and say, I would like to verify that in order to bind the identity to the reservation and the credit card. What you need, technically, is a small software agent, a component that you drop in your existing system. That will take your IT team about 2 hours to do. And this is not a rip and replace. It sits on top of your existing system, and the traveler can connect with you, QR code, they can connect with you on a website, a mobile app, but how do you get that credential? You can do it through your website, you can do it through an app, you can do it through a tablet, you can do it through a biometric face scan, you can do it through a credit card terminal. Pick your hardware, because the agent can fit into whatever hardware that you're using, and you can deploy that out. If you want to issue a credential, a loyalty card for your particular, for instance, resort, you need an issuer agent. Once again, it is a lightweight agent you drop in your existing system, and you can issue credentials as well directly to your customers.
Which is great. So if you're Hilton or Marriott or American Airlines, anyone across the travel, a little small bed and breakfast, right? It doesn't really matter. All of a sudden, you can start playing with this technology, and suddenly they are a validated member of a, United, United's program, and they're a 1K member. I don't know. You start getting some very interesting marketing applications to say, should I be letting American know that I'm a 1K member? American may like that and maybe do something for me. Now, United might not like that, but I bet United would be very interested in knowing the American, executive platinum people going the other way. I'm not sure, but it's going to be very, very interesting. Corporate travel, validating people's employment status. Hey, they don't work for that company anymore. Maybe they don't get that negotiated rate. Maybe they don't get these upgrades. And keeping that all very clear. It's really some incredible opportunities. You said open source, open standard, open core. Can you tell a little bit more about how that is? Because I think people may be still looking at it going, what's the catch?
Right.
It sounds too good.
Right. Well, the entire point is there are people around the world who have been working on this technology for over a decade. So all the core components to make these systems work, as you saw that diagram, that is all open sourced, right? Because at its core, you want it to be interoperable with everyone. What you do as a company, as SITA or Aruba, it's the wrapper that goes around it that makes the experience. And that is specific to whoever picks up that open core and builds on top of it. We did this for a reason, and SITA and Aruba are committed to it because this is something that changes the world of travel, and it helps create the ecosystems and the connectivity between all of us when we can all build off of the same protocol. When you think about the internet and why can we receive emails from all these other various servers, open protocol underneath enables that. It's the same concept that has been applied here.
Right. Maybe we should talk about some of the pure problems and challenges that it solves. What about fraud? What does this kind of technology, what's the impact on fraud?
So that's a very relevant question and concern because there's different types of fraud and there's different risks that different stakeholders want to mitigate. Mm-hmm. So there can be fraud for a government's concern, which is human trafficking, asylum seekers. Those are pretty severe concerns for governments for fraud. That gets back to the integrity of the document. So you unlayer it, you unpack it. How do you build the layers of security to know that it is trustworthy? And each layer we add onto it, and like I described, you do a liveness check, you're reading the chip, you're doing a government check. Those all provide a high level of assurance that meets a certain level of needs. Is it ever going to remove the absolute, you don't need a person ever? Absolutely not. You will always need to have the awareness of the data, the intelligence behind it to know this has an indicator of fraud, but at least you could now use it against quantifiable or authenticated data, which you didn't have before. So it's not going to be the complete elimination. It's going to improve the targeting of identifying what is fraudulent. And really what that allows is to create what I like to call different segments of travelers or people. You could now know who are trustworthy because they've gone through the due diligence, and those that you're not sure about. And that's where you want to focus your efforts on. So it will not replace or address fraud 100% because organized crime, they can do things, but the level of protection is so high now that nothing is ever impossible, but it is highly, highly improbable. And that's what we have in our solution. The technology, the cryptography that's there, the authentication is what we've been able to demonstrate to satisfy government's needs. And it's not just Aruba government, all governments are looking at how can we do this? TSA, CBP, the EU, Frontex, these are things that they all are very focused in, and they critique it. They want to know the details. And right now, it's giving that indication that, this is going to meet our needs. And it's not just that we've got a technology stack that's new. We've got an innovative way of using a proven technology stack. And that's how we've done things. We've taken something and demonstrated we can hit the regulatory needs, the privacy needs, the encryption, the cryptography needs in a context that is seamless and easy for a traveler to use.
Yeah. And the incentives are all in the right place for people to do that, to scan this. You're in the express lane. You can be on the beach in 30 minutes. These are good things.
Yeah.
And then those who are maybe trying to skirt the system, you're going to have more scrutiny, so there are disincentives for those folks. What about personalization? I've got a shameless plug. We've got an AI panel later in the day that I'm talking about Microsoft and some other folks is going to be good. But AI is going to help personalization. How does this tie into that aspect?
But I think, with Aruba, what's been terrific about the partnership is that Aruba has a vision that really brings this to play, and I'm very excited with where you're going.
We envision ourselves as a small island to be a world leader in innovation. We launched Aruba Health app during the pandemic to manage testing and vaccination. Then we partnered up with SITA and Indicio to launch Aruba Happy One Pass, a seamless travel experience on the beach within 30 minutes. We are now digitalizing the healthcare sector in Aruba. That's another game changer for the insured people in Aruba. So we want to position ourselves as an island that embrace technology to facilitate especially the visitors that come visit Aruba.
Yeah, and for that individual's needs, they're suddenly able to do whatever they need.
What's really interesting about this from a technology standpoint, we all understand what Estonia did around Web 2 and identity. Aruba is the Estonia of Web 3. That is what's so interesting about the innovation and the commitment that the minister and government have. They are doing things with Web 3 and blockchain that other people still think are fantasies or slide decks, and they're delivering it. And from the open source identity community, they're out in front and have positioned themselves as that leader in the world of what they're doing.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, a couple of predictions. Adoption of this technology, is it going to take, it sounds from the minister's perspective that most of the decision was really kind of not necessarily political in terms of having people vote, but just getting consensus amongst the government. That seemed to be kind of, something that certainly needs to take place. When is this going to be widespread in the travel community? When do you think?
So I think the future is a crystal ball, and how is it going to be? I think when the word gets out, it'll be viral. Oh, that's it? I keep my passport in my pocket, and I have my cell phone and my checked luggage, and I just walk through. Oh, hey, I'm going to tell my mother this, and my friend and my colleagues. I think it'll go viral and take off. So the curve on it, I think will be a steep curve. And I think once other people that are in the travel and tourism industry start to see the innovations that possible, it'll start to spread out.
Yeah.
And I think that's the exciting part.
Why aren't you doing what little Aruba is doing? Come on. Exactly. Well, thank you very, very much for your time and your insights. And my prediction, this is the future. This enables elimination of massive amounts of friction. It enables incredible levels of highly personalized marketing. And it retains the privacy and gives all the control to those, to the individuals and the travelers. So I think it checks all the boxes. So look forward to it coming to a destination, a travel provider, a travel seller, to your location soon. Thanks very much.